Hello and welcome to Redesign Your Life Today. I'm your host, Daniel Kobryner, a high-energy, heart-centered life and business coach, international motivational speaker, and passionate believer that transformation is always possible, no matter your age or your story. This podcast is a space for those of you, especially over 40, who feel stuck, off track, or disconnected from who you really are. If you've ever thought there has to be more in life than this, you are in the right place. Here, we are going to explore how to break through fear, procrastination, self-doubt, and reconnect with your purpose, your power, and your truth. You'll hear inspiring conversations with heart-centered guests who have experienced real transformation and who now live with intention, freedom, and alignment. This is about a radical reconnection with your authentic self. It's about designing a life that doesn't just look good on the outside, but feels right on the inside. Every episode is an invitation to show up more fully, think more expansively, and take bold, soul-aligned steps towards the life you know is waiting for you. So thank you for being here. And here, I'm delighted to welcome today's guest. Today's guest is Sharon Rolph. Thank you very much for being here, Sharon. First of all, let me introduce you. For most of her life, Sharon felt invisible. And when retired, she wondered how she would know if she was productive. Today, she's a motivating influencer, and at 77, as an author, podcast guest, and the queen of the courage on Instagram. Her days now feel right since finding her spark. This transformation she experienced is being offered to the public for the first time. Sharon is the perfect person to help others outside of work, live meaningfully, impact life and wisdom and confidence, and find their inner spark. Sharon's sparkle, passion, and her youthful appearance easily confirmed. Mental strength and faith have given her a healthy lifestyle. Potential has intrigued Sharon from a very young age, and she loves uniqueness. That's what she sees in people. From her behavioral science perspective, she inspires curiosity and all possibilities. Thank you, Sharon, for being with me. It's a delight. And Sharon, first, I'd like to ask you, how are you today?
I am good. It's a Friday, and we have an art fair in town this weekend. Father's Day weekend is always an art fair, and the traffic is starting to get bad. I ran out for a few groceries, and let's take the safe route, hope so I'm not late for my podcast.
This is beautiful, and thank you, Sharon. And Sharon, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about your story, and how, tell us a bit about what made you kind of transform your life at this stage of your life. What happened?
Well, in fact, I used to run an event. One year I was a chairman of a singles convention at my church down here. 1,800 people had been coming to this singles conference. And this year I was chairing the whole thing. And my director said to me, Sharon, before a big event is over with, have something else to go to. Now, I didn't ask him how he learned that lesson. I wish I had. But there's just like giving birth, I've heard that there's a big letdown after a big expenditure. energy. And so when it came to retirement coming on, it was like 6 months away. And okay, Sharon, remember what Ed told you about big events? So I had my antennas up as to what was I going to do. And at the first of the year, 2016, something had come into my inbox at Boeing that said that they were partnering with the community college on a new program. And I thought, I think that aligns with what I'm already doing. And yeah, let's sign up for it. That will be my next move towards the new thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing they taught us in coaching class, that's what I signed up for the week before I retired, was to write our essence statement. And we had some homework to do before the class started. So I had pondered over all these big questions. And at the end of that weekend, they had us stand in a circle and read our essence statement to each other. And I noticed some of them were kind of sniffling about when they read their statement. I thought, what's that about? And then it came my turn, and nobody had ever asked me to define my soul. So that started my transformation. Well, actually, it introduced me to my transformation. I later had put my essence statement on a wall hanging, and I used to hang it here in my corner. And it took 3-4 months before I was bouncing off the walls. And how do I know if I'm productive? And I read this one day 3 times my essence statement. When I live from what matters to me, every day feels right, my core. And being inner directed kind of is just magical because you choose how to spend your time, and especially in retirement. But you might have a job you love to do, and have you woken up to the fact that this matches my uh, design, you know, my human design so perfectly, every day feels so good. And I realized as I embraced that transformation that every day felt a little bit like heaven on earth. I love to collect near-death experience stories, and so I've imagined, what if I was standing in heaven, and all the beauty and colors and fragrances was infused in every cell of my being, and what would it change here on earth? And this essence statement, what I've now called your inner spark,
Mm-hmm.
feels a lot like heaven on earth. So satisfying, fulfilling, and that bliss. I'm finding even this last week or two, my happiness is growing even more because I'm embracing happiness and fulfillment. But together with that, Daniel, was a profile that came in the mail during that same time that I thought was sure wrong. I thought, you've got the wrong person here. This isn't me. It said I was influential. Hmm? Um, and yet I'm one of these that keeps kind of moving forward. I'm curious. So I thought, well, um, maybe I'm supposed to be influential. And so I started saying yes to things that I normally wouldn't, and trying them out. That's a good way to move forward.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much, Sharon. And you know, when you talk about this statement, has it stayed? Is it still the same today? Would you say?
Yes, pretty much so.
Would
And
you
but the why,
would you like to share this statement?
the
Oh.
statement says, I am precious jewel of wisdom. I am colorful collaborator, motivator, and learner. I am tranquil, authentic, and pure inspirer. I light fires. I'm here to light your fire because wouldn't you like to have fulfillment and meaning and purpose? Purpose keeps us younger. It adds 8 years to our life typically, and we're healthier. And between having fulfillment and living my life based on not living my life based on fear, I'm pretty healthy. Never spent a night in the hospital.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, this is so powerful, and I have to say, I love it. You know, when I I listen to the way you the energy, and the power in your statement, this speaks for itself. Because you see, there's a content, but see, when the way you deliver, and this is, you live it, and this is what transpires, Sharon. You live it fully. And how does it feel to put all the fears on the side and to decide to go full in?
Well, what inspired me, and I should reach for my little, where is it? You should have a stop sign.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, here's our stop sign.
Oh, yeah, okay. This is the stop sign.
You just don't stop living your life based on fear overnight. It's like growing a garden. It takes time. But your question was,
Yeah,
I forgot.
I think what made enable you to put your fears on the side and to really go full in? Because you said that.
Well, it goes back to that potential factor, Daniel. I feel like life, a lot of it is a mystery. And I've come up recently, a couple of weeks ago, Myron Golden is on LinkedIn a lot, and he's been a preacher, but he's a fantastic businessman. And he said, the treasure is hidden in plain sight. It's right there. Life is a mystery, and it actually is inside our heart. It's in our soul. And I kind of, even though I liked my essence statement, living my life just for me, because I don't have kids and never married, and so being single in retirement is all the more of a challenge to be socially active, emotionally healthy, mentally healthy. That loneliness can overwhelm us, but our job now is to know what makes our heart sing. And that's one of the recommendations from John Maxwell. He has like 5 questions. In fact, I have it on one of my little art blocks. Oh yeah, here it is. What makes me sing? It would be, like you're whistling.
Yes.
And so it kind of lifts your spirit. What makes me cry is probably something that moves your heart in either sadness or joy, could also make you cry. What makes me dream is, what do I want to see in my future? What makes me excel? Well, that would be your natural talents. And what makes me different? Oh, I always knew I was different. But that makes me unique. We're all unique, and that's on purpose. But we have to do that search inside. What might discover your spark, rekindle your joy, is kind of doing a research paper on yourself. How about that? And then you wrap it into a metaphor. I like to also call it a parable, tell a little story in a parable. And then you can, oh yeah, this is me through and through. I like this definition. Yeah.
Well, this is so beautiful. And I mean, first, I have to say, I really very much like the way you present, your little, your art, pieces of art where you write it, because actually, you see, this gives the personal touch, really the emotion as well. When I read this card, and afterwards, because I had the opportunity to speak to you once, I'd like you to show some of these other cards that you have, because really It's something very unique for Sharon. Yes.
So let me explain that I like color.
Yes.
Well, this is mostly just two colors. I like to sew and I like words of wisdom. So this one says transform failures over your life. You might have had some failures, but transform them into a learning experience.
Mhm.
That's one of the principles of life, is that we're supposed to be learning things while we're here. So I've known for, I don't know, 30 years that I liked personal development, helping people with that. This one is very much tied to another way of saying my spark. When you see what you're here for, you suddenly find yourself on stage in a play written expressly for you. That's your uniqueness. You might have heard some actors having gotten some awards for their acting, and they said it felt like it was written just for me. Well, you're on stage, folks, and act as if the life is rigged in your favor, and yet there's a place especially for you. Now, the thing is, when we're shy and when I was feeling invisible, we probably don't realize what we're here for. I thought several times that, if you really knew me, Jan, you wouldn't like me. You wouldn't love me. It's like, that's so far out there. Yeah, another thing I've used before is that, yeah, I'm different. Yeah, I'm outstanding. Standing in a field.
But this is the, I mean, Sharon, I can so much, resonate with you. And for instance, okay, you see this second card, because I'm a coach as well. And, and of course I found, what comes to mind is first purpose, and a lot of people, they live their life, the whole life, what I would call, hamster wheel, going from paycheck to paycheck and situation. And really they arrive at their life and they think, what have I done in my life? What have I contributed to? And when we find our purpose, this is when we take our power back. So this is my metaphor. It's really, you take, and yes, we are the main actor in our life. We are the main driver in our car. Because very often what people do is they leave it to other people. They think, oh, I'm not happy because of this person, or because of this job, or because of this situation or the weather. No, and it's easy to play the role of the victim. I'm the victim, I'm the poor victim. No, some elements you can't control. The only person you can control is yourself. And when you realize that, and it means stepping into your courage as well, into who you are. This is when you step on stage, like you're just doing now, then give the best of yourself, because it's you, it's your authentic self. So I really, resonate with this, and I encourage everyone listening to think, are you living, the best life you can? Isn't there something in you really would like to do and you haven't dared because of fear, what people will think? And when you decide, well, it's time to do that, then you go and speak with Sharon, and she will help you transform this life. Yes. You see?
Did you notice on my email that in my signature box, I say, you'll know the next step
Yes.
once you take the first step. So too often people think that's too big a deal. I want to impact 10% of the boomers to live from their spark and help heal the world. Well, that's a pretty big statement to make, but I don't have to know all the steps to get there. I just need to take next step. And you might have talents, and well, let's imagine that you've been on vacation and you've either watched a campfire burning, or you've watched the ocean or the lake that's maybe some of the birds and fish are out there jumping and it's quiet, and in that quietness there might be something, a word that comes to you that oh yeah, it touches your heart, but it also scares you, that it is something you want to do, but you haven't any idea how to get there. I listened to something this week about Andrew Carnegie and how he wouldn't take no for an answer. He kept pressing in for the answers to how to make something happen. And visionaries are pretty good at that. But how many times you let things stop you? Either somebody calls you a name, or you remember how you got bullied when you tried something and got ridiculed. Well, that's their problem. That's not your problem. In retirement, a lot of my things come to retirement speaking to people. And when you don't have a business card, okay, so I have a business card here. It tells me what my title is and who I'm working for, and maybe a project I'm working on. That goes away in retirement. How are you going to replace this? Well, you might forget who you are. This is a line from The Lion King. And in retirement, you're still that dynamite trombone player you were in high school, that debater that beat everybody. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're the guy out on the street selling your lemonade. That's still you. And now you've got education, you've got a ton of people that you know, colleagues that you spent your life with, and resurrect all those definitions of yourself. I also refer to them as invisible assets. I can't tell what assets are inside of Dan. I didn't know he was a coach, you know, so and how many people are going to ask you, what are your invisible assets? Well, you got to know what they are before you can tell anybody. So one of mine is whistling at the dogs when I go on my walk and feed them biscuits. My dogs on my street like me because they see me coming. I like to bake, Who asked you, are you a baker? No. I do it because it flows from me. It's something I like to do. And we need more people that have the license to flow in the earth.
No, this is magnificent. And, it reminds me of this expression, this Japanese expression, which is called Ikigai. Ikigai, it means a purpose of life. And the idea is that we all have that. I mean, what is it? Imagine 4 quadrants where the first is, what do you love doing? What lights you up? Or what did you like doing as a child? And imagine you liked painting, you liked baking, but you couldn't do it because but still you wanted to do this. The second quadrant is, what are you good at? Oh, Sharon, that's really unique skills in this and that. And very often it's, that, but it's other people will tell you if you ask them, oh, what am I really good at? And again, it's not about praise. It's about, recognize. They would say, okay, that, or baking, or so what do you like doing? What are you good at doing? What does the world need? How can which service, product, help, support I can give to others? And the fourth quadrant is, how can I be paid for? But paid for, it's not just money. I mean, money could be something, but as well, in terms of fulfillment. Oh, I'm helping people, so this fulfills me. So when we cross these 4 quadrants, what do I love doing, what I'm good at doing, what the world needs, and what I can be paid for, you've got the Ikigai, and this is the purpose of life. And this purpose of life can change at any time in your life. So And I heard it, I heard it about, people living very young, very old on the island of Okinawa until, in Japan, they live until 100. And people ask why. Okay, of course, the food, they've got algae, fish, they do exercise, but they practice the Ikigai as well. So I just thought about this, and it's really what, when I hear from you, Sharon, it's about, you've got it, and when people say, oh, I don't know what I want to do. Okay, let's go, let's dive a little in your past. What did you really enjoy doing as a kid? Oh, yeah, I like that. Oh, I liked fishing. All right. But so, Sharon, I know that for you are helping a lot of people, and as well, you are helping as well some people who have retired. So I'd like you to tell us some of the experiences you had with some of these persons, and the kind of transformation you have noticed when people were, working with you.
Yeah, let me first add on to the story of baking. I was, for a while in my job, I worked 3 12-hour days and then had 4 off. Well, you've heard this saying, either to have time or money, but you don't often have both. Well, so I had this 4 days off. What am I going to do with 4 days on my hand? And I did dream up a project around baking.
Okay.
So I would make 2 or 3 or 4 batches of cookies and put them on paper plates and deliver them to my church. And I said, when you're going out and calling on people, leave them a plate of cookies. It's evidence that somebody's been here, And I don't remember quite how long I did that. It was probably a couple years, year and a half, 2 years. And every now and then I'd get a card or a statement, especially from people who had felt lonely and were grappling with depression. And it was a way of feeling loved by somebody they didn't even know because I baked cookies. And I was using my free time in a productive and kind of reciprocity type of way, because volunteering has a way of paying you back. So, okay, so one of the, in my book, Fresh Courage in Retirement, Finding Purpose, Essence, and Fulfillment, I tell a story in there. One of my favorite is a lady that from here in Washington, Seattle. She lived down here on Lake Union, and she was about 54, I guess. And she was a realtor, and she started feeling like she needed to expand her heart. And so she dreamed up doing customer service projects around the world. Now, some people get assigned customer service projects because you've done something wrong and you got to pay for it, the young people. But she spent a year or two planning to do these projects in 12 countries around the world. There's ways that you could get paid to do that, but oftentimes you have to pay to be able to volunteer someplace, and it can be inexpensive, and it can be over $1,000 a gig. But a lot of kids right out of college, and sometimes high school, sign up to do these things. But she wound up, let's see, her first gig was, well, she fed baby lions. She fed, she worked with a baboon sanctuary. She rode elephants, and her one that she really moved everybody to tears was being in China and working with some college students to help them learn English. And they were using songs as a way of getting familiar with the language. And so they begged her to sing a Beatles song, Imagine. And then, so she did, and she, claimed that she wasn't very good at it, but she struggled with it, and she did it, and they were pleased. And then, okay, it's your turn, you mimic what I just did. And they looked around, and finally somebody in the back of the room, a young man, stood up and sang Imagine. And it moved everyone to tears. It was just the brave and the being vulnerable to do that. And it was it was just such a delight, and it makes such a imprint on your heart as to being she would spend a month in each one of these places, because she said she wasn't a good tourist. She wanted to know about how their country worked and all this. And her last gig was being a writer for a small community paper, and she learned how to be an interviewer and write stories. And she came home and was able to write her experiences in a book called Smiling at the World. So I highly recommend her book, because it stretches you in all kinds of ways. She was teased about being called mama on her trip often, because she, being 55, and she would often bake cookies, for chocolate chip cookies, for the other volunteers. So she was a big hit. And another way to help in communities was an engineer, a civic engineer, who went around his town. And there's something on the World Health Organization that sets up a standard of whether your community is age friendly. So he went through that list of being age friendly. Like, do you have on crosswalks, can people take extra time to get across a crosswalk because they're walking slow? I saw my grandpa walking across the sidewalk, and the light turned 3 times before he got on the other side. And I was so afraid that he was going to get hit by a car. But the criteria, he would go around his town, and as a civil engineer, he contributed to them being a age-friendly city. So that's a couple of examples of people thinking outside the box, and still contributing in a very significant way, locally or globally.
I mean, it's a beautiful story. And see, now, at least I know in some companies, there, people recognize that older people have plenty of experience, plenty of knowledge, plenty of wisdom, but they don't have the ambition, to go, just they really want to help and support. And when companies recognize this, there's so much you can learn, just like, because obviously, in some societies, when you get to the age of, I don't know, 45, people say, oh, now, it's difficult to go on, etc. I mean, it's, I'm just mentioning this could be another age. But when you realize that there is so much, and you see, in tribal societies, who were the people most respected? The ancients, because they had the wisdom, and people were coming to them to know about life, about how to solve that issues. So there's so much we have to offer, and it's a great reminder of, that age doesn't define person. It's who you are and how you want to contribute to the world.
Yeah, so one of my guiding principles that I've adopted, especially looking at retirement, is all this free time. It gets to be a burden when you don't have anything to do with the free time. So that translated to me as being untapped potential of your time freedom. And yes, it needs to be filled, and you need to be needed, right? You need to matter to fit in and to make a difference. So volunteering is a wonderful way to do that. And there's a number of good databases that can help match you to something that that could be open up a whole new world to you. But if they don't train you, keep looking, because too many nonprofits don't train you accordingly, but are appropriately. But they need to respect the fact that you don't know the answers to how certain things happen. But one of the people on my last podcast was a lady that started a foundation, Unstoppable Foundation, in I don't know if it's Nigeria or Kenya, but she has helped turn around cities down there because she found, what did the community need? Oftentimes they needed healthcare. They needed to be organized in such a way that they can take care of tourists that want to come see their country. So she taught tourism and teaching and healthcare, nursing maybe, to people. But she's unstoppable, and they take on 1 or 2 a year, cities a year. And I didn't even know that she was going to be on my program. I remember bumbling with my words for a couple minutes, and she said, well, when you retire and you're wondering what you can do and where you can volunteer at, she said, well, if you've been a pilot, find an agency that needs something delivered or people delivered. Keep flying planes, but do it for nonprofit. If you've been an accountant, find somebody that needs some books kept. And it's just transferring from being paid to not being paid until you find something that actually is lights up your heart and gives you even more purpose. But that transition could be an easy step when you just transfer who you're doing it for and why. Yeah.
This is, we're talking about Ikigai before, and it's this. I mean, it's, how can we be of service? This is, for me, if, it's so powerful. Perhaps I shared with you that I was in, say, international sales management for 35 years. And just a few years back, I listened to coaches talking, and I was so, amazed. And I thought, actually, it's interesting, because when I thought back, I realized that I had been coaching people all my lives, teams as well, wanting people to get the best out of themselves, motivating, cheering, listening to people. And I thought it was just normal way to do things. But I realized that it's not, and so afterwards I thought, this is really what I want to do. I want to dedicate the rest of my life to helping people, with these abilities, and what I noticed, Sharon, is that what a lot of people need, or all of us need a way or another, we need to be listened to. We need to be somebody who can just hear us, where we can express ourselves without fears, without fears of being judged, being criticized, being given advice we don't ask for. And already that, it's such a relief, So, and this, you talked about opening up, and this notion of vulnerability is so important. I remember when I started opening up again after some difficult circumstances, it was like some weight getting out of my chest, and all of a sudden, easier, it's like, the fears go, you do it once, and you think it's all right, the world is not collapsing under your feet. And then, you trust yourself to go further. How does this resonate with you, Sharon?
Oh, it fits right in with my block that says worry is a misuse of imagination.
Yes,
Our
so
brains
nice.
are full of ingenuity. And to me, worrying is just that hamster wheel going around and going nowhere. And vulnerability is the willingness to show up and be seen without any
Outcome.
guarantee of the outcome. To me, when I'm willing to be vulnerable, I'm opening the door to magic, to a miracle, maybe. So you, when you're vulnerable and took the weight of the world off your heart for helping them change, you were transferring your guiding principles to the people that you were selling things to, and making it a better world for their company, right? With your solution.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And you see what you just said as well now is really resonates so much that when we do something we love doing, we don't have any expectation. We do it just because we love doing it. This is the thing, because some people, they always think about, oh, if I do this, what do you do? You see the transaction, but for me, it doesn't work like that. You do what you are passionate about, and you give it your best. And even if you don't have any expectation, what happens is in this universe, when you do good, and this is a miracle, and don't ask me how it's going, but things are coming back a way or another. So, and this is a self, I think you can self-fulfilling prophecy, you say, or I'm not sure, I'm French.
The law of reciprocity.
The law of reciprocity, yes.
Yeah, my mom told me, and I remember I was 14, 15 years old, and something had come up. I think somebody at church had mentioned they needed help with something. I have no idea what it was. And she says, well, Sharon, if you help them, it makes them feel good, but you feel good too. Oh, I feel good too. Volunteering makes me feel good too. Volunteering makes you feel good. It's a payback. I've been volunteering at the food bank here for a couple of years, and every now and then I've talked on my loneliness to resilience community about reciprocity, and it happened here last summer, probably about September. I was commenting to one of the ladies I deliver groceries to, and commenting about her flowers that are around her front door. And oh, Sharon, hold on. I thought she was going to show me something else that was blooming, No, she wanted to go get a box in her garage and send me home with prunes from her tree that was overflowing with fresh fruit. Oh, there's that reciprocity. She's sending me home now with food, and I've been delivering to her food, and it was just a natural flow. And I loved it because there's my example for teaching reciprocity.
So beautiful, Sharon. When I listen to you, it's really, I listen to the heart talking. It comes from the heart. And when you have this relationship, it's not about the words, it's but people feel it. And you know what you said, and I really, resonate with what your mom said to you. Because it's really this, it's in life, if we can have even these little acts of kindness, could be a smile to someone, there's somebody, and the person, perhaps it's your first person who looks at them, in the street, and all of a sudden the day is going to be nice because, wow, somebody looked at me and smiled to me. So, see, making people feel good and without expectation, because really you want, because it's natural. Not only you are going to change other, yes, you can change a lot in other people's lives, but yes, of course, it comes to you. I mean, I've got goosebumps when I'm telling you that, it's like, because it's nice, it's just like you do it and naturally you see a smile, starting with a smile. It's easy.
No, I want you to smile at yourself too. That
Well,
energy that you're talking about, Daniel, cherish
cherish.
forever.
I have to say, you know what? I really, I like so much all these pieces of art. It's nicely crafted and it's a beautiful message. Everybody will resonate with this. You see, you do it Sharon's way. This is unique. This is you crafted it, you put it together, and this is, this yeah, I can see, you see the energy and the smile, and this is really so.
Yeah. So my point with what Daniel's point is that as you are making other people feel good, also look at what makes you feel good. Like one of my exercises in teaching people about discovering their spark is to list 20 things you love to do. 20 things, that's quite a few, but then try to do one of them every day and your day will be a good day. So, and it's flowing from right inside your heart.
Wow, so powerful, Sharon. And I want to ask you a question as well. What's your take about practicing gratitude?
Well, a lot of good things comes with gratitude. In fact, this is a little bit sidetracked, but I've tried to, before I get out of bed, have gratitude both for my life here and living in my condo, and but gratitude also for myself. How can I love myself as much or similar to how much God loves me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's little by little, it's growing, because that's a way to love the world. The world needs healing. And as we smile and are grateful, and also forgiving, then life gets a whole lot better. And I'm looking forward to the day that we live in harmony. Harmony is what you find in heaven. And it can, I know the Lord's Prayer on earth as it is in heaven. I want harmony and love and peace here, and us living in this blessed and magical world that is good for everybody.
Wow. I picked up on a few, things you just said now. I mean, first, you see, forgiveness. Very often people keep grudge against others, their ex, that this and terrible. And when we do that, or if we do that, the only person we penalize is ourselves, because basically we keep stuck in these negative emotions. And actually, you see, and I come back to something you said earlier on, talked about failure. And for me, failure doesn't exist. It doesn't. No, life happens. Events happens in your life. And of course, sometimes it's not what we desired. But if instead of looking at, oh, I'm a failure, oh, I didn't succeed, instead of looking at that this way and thinking, okay, I did something, I tried, it didn't give me the outcome I want. Okay, let's see how I can use this experience, embrace it, and then move to my next step. So whatever experience we have in life, it's just a small step. And then we have a step, another step, another step, and this is going to bring us to our lives. But if we hadn't tried this situation, if we hadn't had this relationship, or if we hadn't had this issue, we wouldn't know. So facts are one thing in life, but what's more powerful is how do we look at that? What do we make from that?
Brene Brown has another definition of vulnerability, and it's the birthplace of creativity and innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, that's a big step. If I'm vulnerable, it leads to and contributes to creativity and innovation. Like when somebody's painting a picture, most pictures that are painted by artists are one of a kind. And has anybody told them, oh, do it this way? Oh, yeah, I put it over here. No, it's flowing from the vision oftentimes that's in their own head. And again, it's an invisible asset, or at least contributing from that. But to realize that as you're willing to be vulnerable and be seen and leave the outcome to the end product, then you have contributed to the innovation of a unique kind of art, because it's your unique contribution. Yeah.
No, exactly. And I think about the word authenticity. What does it word, how does it resonate with you? Authenticity, being your true self.
Well, in fact, I recently wanted to talk about authenticity in my loneliness to resilience group. And so I asked AI, help me out with this. Is there any connection between authenticity and resilience? And I was shocked when the answer was a strong yes. So authenticity simply means being genuine. And maybe, or another way might be that you're living from your truth, your genuine truth. You're not being like Dan, you're not being like your best friend, you're not being like your mom or your dad, you're being your genuineness. And I want to savor the uniqueness that each one of us are, because we need your genuineness here and now. Show up. That's why you're still breathing.
And exactly. We have to remember we are all unique. And again, we're not better, it's not, and each of us has something to bring out to the world. And for our listeners, really, there's a point I'd like to, just to put a little ahead, is that, what is the biggest regret people have at the end of their lives, when they're about to go away? Really the biggest. Is it some things that they tried and failed, or not? No. If you ask them, it's the things they wanted to do, they really fought and they never did. And this is the regret. So when you hear that, just my prayer is really for you to say, look, do this. It's never too late at any age, at any circumstance. If there's something you really want to do, go for it. Ask for support, speak to people, because when it comes from you and from your heart, you will find a way. And most important is always take the first step, the little tiny step, because people say that a 1,000-mile journey starts with the first step. So, and there's another thing, Sharon, about celebrating our wins. How does it resonate with you? Because obviously we talked about gratitude. Now, when you coach, others, how do you do this about these wins? Tell me.
Well, I'm not very good at that yet myself.
Okay.
In fact, I'm trying to get myself to promise every Saturday or Sunday that I go down here and put my feet in the ocean. It's just a mile away. And that could be a way of celebrating the end of my week, and part of the emotional health is where that celebrating fits in. That I've often put work. I mean, I've been retired since 2016, so that's 9 years. No, 9 years. And the only celebrating I did was when I turned 70, and I put on my own birthday party. I called it my coming out party. I was exposing myself as a vulnerable kind of way. But it's creating memories. I have pictures of that party, And I created a event that I invited people to, and I need to do that more often. I need to celebrate Daniel when he's achieved something, just like I need to celebrate myself. So I just kind of woke up to this a little bit the last couple weeks, that I need to be working more at being around and with and for people, not only for my social health, but also for my emotional health. So, appreciating what went well for you each day when you're putting your head on the pillow at night is a great practice to get involved in, or as a habit, a good habit. And I've done it some, but I need to do it more. So hold me accountable for how well am I moving in that direction, Daniel? Okay.
Okay, I will. And you see, and thank you so much for your answer. And you said in the evening you think about, what did I accomplish? Could be, little steps. I mean, some people, for instance, they like writing. So just buy a little exercise books and you call it gratitude journal, and just say right there in the morning, in the evening, whenever it's good, what you are grateful for, what you have accomplished. And then sometimes if you feel depressed, and it happens, we all have up and down, just look at this journal and see what we do as well. Obviously, as coaches, is that exactly we do this, and then between two sessions. I mean, my first question, when I meet one of my coaches after 1 week, I said, okay, tell me about 3 wins, from last time, whatever they are. And obviously, very often, see what we do, obviously we have, and the other thing is we set goals. I mean, the person said, we ask them, what would you like to accomplish in the next week? It's not for us as coaches to say, it's for people to say, and then again, we hold them accountable for them. Then when they say, oh yes, I've done what I wanted to do, this is this feeling of, wow, I really, I'm happy. And then as you said, and the first thing is take time to celebrate yourself, take time. And the more we do that, the more we practice gratitude with everything which is around us, little thing. I mean, we wake up in the morning, first thing, we are alive. We are alive, I mean, and we are there, and with these little things. And then, wow, this is how life really starts to change. And the other thing, Sharon, for me is as well, live fully in the present moment. You were speaking about anxiety, people anxious, but anxiety, very often it's about the future. What is going to be the future like? We don't know. I mean, we can plan, we can have ideas, but we cannot control it. So it's only what we do today and now and at this moment, which is going to make us what we are afterwards. And the rest, we can't control. So let's focus just on what we can control. So look, Sharon, it's been a fantastic, really, conversation. And what is is there one tip, or one piece of advice you would like to leave our listeners to?
Yeah, this is a Thomas Wolfe statement. I've modified a couple words so they're gender neutral. If one has a talent and fails to use it, one has failed.
Wow.
If one has a talent and finds and uses half of it, one has partially failed. If one has a talent and finds somehow to use the whole of it, they have gloriously succeeded and won a satisfaction few people ever know. I want that for everyone listening.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, to finish with this beautiful statement, thank you so much. And Sharon, how can our listeners contact you if they want to get in touch with you? What's the best?
Well, I do have a face on Facebook where I share a lot of wisdom very similar to these art blogs. I'm on LinkedIn as Sharon, I think it's dash or underscore Rolph. I am on Instagram as Sharon underscore Queen of Courage. And I am on Amazon with my book, Fresh Courage in Retirement. And let's see, I'm on the Great Discovery platform with both my book and my volunteering course and a free course on not getting off track in retirement, things that could trip you up. And I have another one that's what makes your heart sing. I was 35,000 feet up in the air coming back from Phoenix after speaking there. And I came up with 48 ideas that might help you remember what makes your heart sing. Something as easy as maybe gardening on the roundabout close in your area, or touching the water in the 7 oceans, and anything in between.
Well, thank you so much. And obviously, Sharon, it's so beautiful, and all the details will be, in the comments of the podcast, so where people will be able, to find you. And you see, just I'm going to finish really by thanking you so much for this wonderful conversation. And my podcast is called Redesign Your Life Today. And how better an example can we have than you, Sharon? So thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure. And I'm sure that our listeners will, know how to contact you and find you there.
Well, let's think about doing it next year about this time.
Great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.